Former U.S. Marine Captain Anuradha Bhagwati has fought to help service women access the front lines of the battlefield. Less than a decade ago, women in the military were forbidden to serve in direct ground combat, and some jobs were off limits.
There were a variety of limitations on women in combat, even though women had been in the military for decades.
But that has changed. Women can now join the Navy SEALs. Thanks to Captain Bhagwati's efforts, gender barriers are crumbling down. She used her voice to help make historic change, easing the gender divide, allowing women to defend their country on their terms. This is Anuradha, and this is her story. Bhagwati grew up the daughter of immigrants in New York City. She says her strict parents were traditionalists.
I fell in love with my best friend, who was a girl, when I was 16. And this was something that just sent shockwaves through my parents.
But it ended when her mother found out.
It shut the door for years on me and love.
Bhagwati turned her thoughts to academic success, going on to Yale. After, there was grad school at Columbia University, where her parents were professors. But Bhagwati says she was miserable.
There was like a relentless pursuit of this goal without any kind of balance or perspective.
In 1997, she says she had an epiphany after seeing the female-focused action film G.I. Jane.
So I remember seeing that and thinking, I wonder if I could do that.
The Yale grad joined the Marines, throwing herself into a rigorous physical environment. She writes in her book, Unbecoming, a memoir of disobedience, I remember my body being physically thrashed and my mind slowing, losing its grip from any reality I'd once known. As a woman of color who identifies as bisexual, she discovered a harsh reality. She recalls an unsettling moment after joining the Marines when officers joked that a woman soldier depicted in a poster was not a real Marine. She says she endured rape jokes, daily harassment, and all levels of misogyny. Feeling that other women in the Marines might be having a similar experience, she often asked herself, why?
Why are there double standards in the Marine Corps? Why are men required to do pull-ups and women aren't? Women should do everything men should do. And not only should they, but I know they can.
Through her grit and tenacity, Bhagwati went on to become an officer and finally had access to power. She planned to use it to elevate marginalized voices in the Marines.
That's the spirit I brought to my own units. It was, no, all the women are going to train as hard and probably harder than the men. There's no such thing as a female Marine. They're just Marines.
But the life of a Marine wasn't easy to bear. Bhagwati says she was once punched in the face by a fellow soldier and given long, uncomfortable embraces by a male captain. When she tried to speak up, she says she or other female victims were blamed by senior officers who preferred to sweep the allegations under the rug. In fact, Bhagwati says one lieutenant accused of harassment even had his career blossom.
A lieutenant was promoted, given command of my company, right? So now he's in charge of the women he's been harassing. And it's just, you can't make this stuff up.
It was a bitter reality. Bhagwati recalls in her book, sexual predators thrived in places like the Corps, especially when they had rank. Despite her hard-won success, this officer became disillusioned as she watched cover-up after cover-up. After 5 years, Bhagwati left the Marine Corps, but never escaped the PTSD and depression that she says haunted her.
It really takes its toll. Harassment absolutely leads to PTSD. There are high rates of PTSD from sexual harassment in the military.
But coming to terms with it fueled this former Marine's drive to bring equality to the military. She created SWAN, the Service Women's Action Network.
For me, it was very healing to be able to speak out fiercely on behalf of victims in the military.
My next guest dropped out of grad school at Columbia to join the Marines. That in itself is a story. She then became a prominent force for gender equality in the U.S. military that was partly about sexual harassment and assault, and also about her successful push to allow women to fight alongside men in combat.
Right. The military has a hard time dealing with systemic institutional failures. In this case, with military rape and sexual assault, we're talking about a systemic failure to protect service members from a hostile workplace environment.
Fundamental military justice reform to deal with why perpetrators aren't being put behind bars where they belong.
Bhagwati realized she and her female colleagues were working as hard as the men, but not allowed to serve in the same way. She knew her experiences should result in some positivity, so she decided to filter her pain into a push for change, granting women equal treatment, especially in combat.
It was mostly women of color and queer women going to Congress to advocate on issues like sexual harassment, sexual assault, don't ask, don't tell. We were part of a series of lawsuits that ended up really turning American eyes and hearts toward service members in a new way. So that was an incredibly rewarding experience for me to be a part of.
So the Service Women's Action Network joined forces with other service women to sue the Pentagon to overturn the ban on women in combat.
It was an amazing time. So women can be Navy SEALs today if they make it through.
For the first time in its 242-year history, the Marine Corps welcoming its first female infantry officer.
For this high achiever, clearing a path for military women to succeed has been a crowning accomplishment. But like trailblazers who came before her, Bhagwati realizes there was a steep personal cost. Today, her life is far from that of the hard-charging soldier she once was. She's a writer, activist, and yoga teacher. She lives in New York City with her service dog Duke, who helps her manage her PTSD. Anuradha Bhagwati, a veteran who suffered while breaking new ground in one of the toughest branches of service. These days, she says she has no regrets.
I'm really happy I did it. Sticking up for what I believe in or what I know is right, even if it hurts me.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.